Welcome to In the Now. The first thing I'm going to do is apologize, everybody. I have to for being a little bit late. Things do happen, but I'm usually here on time. So, of course, to the viewers, I'm going to make sure that I do my best to be here on time for you. But again, things do happen. So, excuse me. And now I want to get into the show because we don't have much time today. I am going to take the time to get into the show. And I have, first of all, I want to thank the viewers out there for a few things. I've been getting constructive criticism back, which I appreciate. Why I appreciate it is because they see things and they don't just criticize. They're offering solutions and things that are going to help this show be better for you guys. So I want to thank everyone who has reached out to me, everyone who has given me constructive criticism about the show and how to make it better for you. So today's show is focused on you. The goal for today, hopefully the goal for all shows, but definitely today, is for you to look at, to see real life examples of the idea of propaganda and how it's used in media. We did about 2 weeks on propaganda, which was a little bit dry, I understand, but I was doing it so that, again, you guys were getting the foundation. So those very 2 episodes, if you do get a chance, go back and check them out. Again, they are a little dry. They're not as nice and flashy as going forward are going to be. But at least you will get the information, get that foundation, understanding about how the mind works, how propaganda is used, who the father of social media is, and allow you to move through. So today, the topic that we're on is, again, it's readily available to the public. I was able to do a lot of research on YouTube. Of course, I went to Google, the biggest drive in the world. I was able to go on there. I was able to check some other sources as well, but the topic matter today is out there. It is in your face. Today, what I'm going to do is put it a little bit more in your face and break it down. Hopefully, I'll get time to break most of it down as to what's happening. So I'm going to start off with a definition, and then I'm going to show a series of clips, which we're going to talk about throughout the show, okay? So the first definition I have is the word staging. What does that mean? The word staging. So the definition is, staging is the method of presenting a play or another dramatic performance. The synonyms for staging are acting, playing, performing, performance, and appearance. So I'm going to have Jordan put on a video showing you an example of how this has happened in plain sight, and maybe a lot of you are not even aware of it.
Reporting. What I want to show you now, viewers, is a wonderful scene. These are Muslim mums. There's a little fella here who's bought a little sign, and this is in commemoration. You can see his little sign to the heroes of London. There are flowers on the street here. Ladies with hashtag turn to love, hashtag ISIS equals enemies of Islam, hashtag ISIS will lose, hashtag turn to London. And I think a poignant scene, and a scene we should sit on just for you viewers to understand exactly how people feel here on the streets of London, so close to what were such brutal attacks last night.
back to the show. I scream, you scream.
So I'm going to be playing a little bit more, but without going into anything, I'm going to let that video show and tell you. You tell me, actually. Comment, again, please comment. We're on Periscope. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. Well, I will be on Instagram in a little bit. But we're on YouTube. Comment. What do you think about that video? What is that saying to you? And this is why that definition staging, I had to bring that up. So that clip, because I want to make sure that I give, I reference whoever I take things from. It's called After Watching This, You'll Never Trust the Corporate News Again. It's about a 45-minute mini documentary. And it's by End of Times Production, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is also pretty hilarious. I found it interesting, and we're going to look at this video on scripting, okay? So this next video is on scripting.
Yeah, baby.
Mike Myers says, 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 yeah, baby.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
Well, a child's happiness is priceless, right? Especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday. A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on their birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless.
All right, so again, I think you do get the idea. That's about how long's it, Jordan? About a 2-minute long video. So this video is showing, again, scripting is when you write out something for someone to follow. So as you could see, I think they showed a different news station every single time. And each station was showing the same, basically the reporters were saying the same thing. Which, is that ironic? Is that, like, how does that happen? How do they all have the same catchphrases? So little things like this, what I want you to pay attention to. I'm going to go into a topic. I don't know if you guys remember that I guess it was a show called The Investigators. Two of the reporters were Steve Wilson and Jane Accra, and they were I think they were joined by Fox. Fox brought them on the show The Investigators. And what was interesting is when they were going to go on the show, obviously they're reporters, so they're about getting the truth out. They were really interested in doing what they need to do, so they wanted to get a story. And the very first story was about a company called Monsanto. And it's interesting. I think, Jordan, I do have a little bit of a blurb which comes straight from Monsanto, and I'm going to read it for you guys. So Monsanto is an agricultural company helping farmers large and small grow food more sustainably. From seed to software to fiber and fuel, we're developing tools to help growers protect natural resources while providing nourishment to the world. In the face of a changing climate and other environmental challenges, we're helping ensure our agricultural system continues to suit the needs of everyone. So when you read this, like when I first saw this, and this of course is you can find at www.mocanto.com. So it was very flowery and very beautifully written. Like when you hear it, you're like, oh, that's a really good company, right? Like they're doing everything to make our life sustainable here on Earth and, keep the Earth good. Like these are the things that you're thinking, right? So here's some background on that. And this background was brought up, and this was the research done by Steve and Steve Wilson, I believe, again, Steve Wilson and Jane Accra, okay? So in order to push this product, they had to get a lot of people to vouch for them, for this product that they came out with. They came up with a product, it was called bovine. And what bovine is a growth hormone. So They had educators and researchers and university professors, and of course the FDA, because without the FDA, nothing gets passed when it comes to drugs, right? So they only tested this product, though, for 90 days. And they didn't test it on any humans, so there was no human trials done. It was tested on 30 rats for 90 days, and then it was pushed out into the market for farmers to inject the cows, because this is how the humans were getting it. They're injecting the cows so that the cows would produce more milk quickly, okay? So if you could, I think Jordan, I did put up the bovine investigation threat video, but we are going to do that when we come back. So what they actually did is once Monsanto saw that the investigators were digging in, they actually took it to another level and began to threaten them. So when I come back, we're going to show that investigation threat video and show the documents that were actually put out to them for that. Hope you're enjoying this so far. I have a lot more, so please come back, okay? Don't forget to comment, like, share.
This holiday season, be sure to pick up your copy of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper and check out all the specials from local businesses right here in our community. Help build a bigger, better, and stronger community with your support. Happy holidays from the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. Available at your favorite Caribbean location or online at torontocaribbean.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to In the Now with Simone Smith. And for you just joining us here, we started a little bit late, but we've been able to discuss today kind of what's happening behind the cameras. What are things that you're not seeing? As I stated earlier in the first segment, that a lot of this information is online, guys. This is free for you to find. It's there for you to see. And again, it's not that it's you watch one video and it's like, oh, just one person saying it. There's a few different sources out here, all pretty credible, that are talking about the fact that, you know what, you need to be very mindful of what you take in as being real in the news and understand that behind everything, there's actually an agenda, okay? So just before I left, I was talking about the company Monsanto, who had decided to put out a growth hormone that was injected into cows that was going to cause it. Well, before I go into what it was going to cause, I'm going to talk about the fact that it was being investigated by a group of reporters. They were hired by Fox. And of course, once they started to dig into the story, things started to go a little bit haywire. The higher ups started to get a little squeamish, and you're wondering why. Well, Monsanto was owned actually by one of the people connected to the Fox News. And they, of course, when you have that big of a company and when you're that much of a force, you have a team of lawyers, right? So Steve Wilson and Jane Acker decided they wanted to continue with the story. So, of course, things like threats starting to come in. So I'm going to have Jordan play for us a section of this video, also from that same group. They are called the End of Times Production Group. So you can find a few videos if you go on there about this whole situation, okay? So I'm going to show you the bovine investigation threat video, and we'll talk a little bit about it, just a tiny bit after.
Do that. We wrote the story. We had it ready a week beforehand. They bought ads. Farmers in the milk industry say it's safe, but studies suggest a link to cancer. Don't miss this special report from the investigator.
That Friday night before the Monday this series was to begin, the fax machine spit out a letter from this very high-priced lawyer in New York that Monsanto had hired. It contained a lot of things that were just off-the-wall false, just demonstrably false. But if you didn't know the story and you didn't know how he had gone about producing it, would have scared you as a broadcaster, as a manager.
And they decided that they would pull the story and they would just check it one more time.
But the bottom line was that there was no factual errors in that story. Both sides had been heard from. Both sides had had an opportunity to speak.
1 week later, Monsanto sent the second letter. And this was even more strongly worded. And it said there will be dire consequences for Fox News if the story airs in Florida. And this time they...
So I always like to say that nothing is better than like hearing it from the horse's mouth. I could tell you the story, but I'd rather you heard the story. And what I'll do now is just kind of follow up on that. So both Steve, as you can see in the video, and Jane were first threatened, and then they were bribed. So the first thing they did was threaten them and say, listen, you know that we could fire you, right? This is like the person that was at the top at the Fox News. They're like, you know we could fire you, right? You know we could just cut the story, right? So they were threatened first that they were not allowed to speak about this. Then when that didn't work, because obviously they were like, well, we're just going to go higher than you. You can't threaten us about this. They're like, okay, hold on. So they week later, they came back and they tried to bribe them. And Steve laughed actually in the video, and he's like, I almost was like, well, for how much? He's like, if you're going to bribe me, I want to know what I'm being bought for, right? Now, of course, with the bribe, they wouldn't be able to talk about the story. So, of course, both of them, and I appreciate them for this, were like, no, this story has to get out. This is affecting people's lives. This isn't just about money. It's not just about us. It's about the bigger picture, which is what news. That is good news. And that's the type of news I for sure will be making sure that I give to you guys here on In the Now, because that's solid. That's we're here for the community, and they were there for the community, okay? So after all of that, they finally said, okay, we can't do that, but you won't tell anyone about the bribe, right? And they're like, no, we are going to tell people. So now they're like, okay. Let's see if we can quiet everyone down. Let's get the team of lawyers to sit down with you guys. And we're going to edit this little script that you have. So they did 83 edits, which I heard are basically, it's unheard of. And basically what the lawyers did is cut out anything that pointed to the growth hormone as being bad or negative or not good for you. So I think there was a part where it said that this growth hormone can lead to cancer. And the lawyer's like, no, that's a little harsh. We don't really know that. There could be so many other things that go to that. But how about this? How about we say that it can lead to human implications? So basically you admitted that it may not lead to cancer, but they know that putting this in could do something to a human being. Okay, so I have to say, I'm proud of Canada. Do you know why I'm proud of Canada? Because Canada said no to this. I actually hope I have some time to go into it. If not, I will speak a little bit more about it next week as we continue to tackle this. But Canada said that this compound, once they heard it could cause any type of serious health problems, they were like, no, it's not coming here. So let's take a look at why Canada said hell no to bovine growth hormone. And now these are things, again, that are happening in the media, because even with Canada, it was a little touch and go for a second. So let's look at the definition of bovine growth hormone. This is a natural hormone in cattle that helps regulate growth and milk production. There is one there, and don't worry, I know Jordan's gonna get that up for you. There you go. And that may be produced artificially and given to a dairy cattle to increase the yield of milk. This is also called bovine somatotropin. Now, these definitions, I'm getting them from the Oxford Dictionary online. So again, the information is very accessible to you. Now, I also found an article. You can put this reference up as well for me, Jordan. It's Redesigning Life, the Worldwide Challenge to Genetic Engineering. This was edited by Brian Tokar. London Zed Books in 2001, okay? So, No to Bovine Growth Hormone, a story of resistance in Canada by Lucy Sherritt. So, in 1988, recombinant bovine growth hormone was tested on dairy herds in 4 provinces. Now, the 512 milk products were quietly added to the general commercial supply. So they actually, and this was happening in 1988, they actually did do a recombinant version of this growth hormone, and they did actually put it in our milk in a few different provinces. And now the dairy processors were first to expose this sale of what was happening to the public, and the fact that they had actually been putting it in the milk and people were consuming it. And this story was picked up by the media in November 1988. Now, there's a picture that I just found. I thought it was interesting, and it was what's in your milk, right? So they put out an ad that talked about what was in your milk. What were you drinking? Do you know what you're drinking? This was Canada's first public introduction to RBGH, which is recombinant bovine growth hormone, and a negative, right away, Canadians were like, we're not doing this. We're not going to have something in our food that's going to. And what I think was powerful about this is that it wasn't just the people who were standing up. Everyone was standing up. People in Parliament were standing up. It was fantastic. So the National Farmers Union was strongly opposed to this as well. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail when we come back as to how this all played out, and again, how all of this affects the way we think and consume. See you soon.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Welcome back, everyone, to In the Now. If you are just joining me, again, thank you for joining the show. Thank you for watching. Today, we are going behind the camera lens. We're taking a look at how propaganda is actually used in the media. We're taking a look at how it affects us, how it affects the way we think. Now, I do have a lot more information on this. I'm going to get through this as quickly as I can, just so I can get as much out to you. And the rest, again, if you have any questions, I do have a script. I can even send that to you. You can just, again, comment, post on our Facebook, on our YouTube feed, or on our Periscope, and I can get that information to you. I have it here, okay? So we were talking about how Canada actually stood up. Grant just ran in and he's introduced a topic that we're probably going to go into as we continue, because there's so much behind media that you guys need to know, and I'm going to get that information out to you, okay? But we're going to focus on just how Canada kind of was like no to this drug. There's a bovine growth hormone that was being injected into cows that had human implications, but the strong word that was behind it was cancer. So when they tried to bring it to Canada, and so Monsanto tried to bring it to Canada, and Canada was like, no, we're not doing this. Canadians stood up and said, no, we don't want you fooling around with our milk. We don't want you putting growth hormones in our milk. It's not happening. This went up to Parliament, and when RBGH was brought to Parliament, it was acknowledged that RBGH was linked to cancer. So they actually acknowledged the fact that it might be. So committee members were shocked that they had not done any long-term studies into the human health risks that were associated with the RBGH. So how does it affect us? Why is this even important, Simone? Why are we even talking about it? So let me show you, because again, you need to know the background of this. So in us, we have an IGF, which plays an essential role in embryonic and postnatal development. And I do have a definition for you up there as well that Jordan's going to put up. The IGF system is also important in normal adult physiology. There are now numerous examples of diseases such as diabetes, cancer, and malnutrition in which the IGF system is a major player. So IGF stands for insulin-like growth factor system. And there's actually a book that was put out by Derek LaRuth, The Diabetes Branch, National Institute of Health, and that's in Maryland, US, okay? So I have a flow chart so you can kind of see how introducing RBGH into your system actually affects you. So IGF is naturally present and it's identical in cows and humans. So as you can see there, as RBGH increases, the IGF-1 in cows increases. Now, again, you're giving us this milk. So people drinking this milk have elevated IGF, which increases the risk of cancer in humans. So there is a direct link to, as this is why Canada said no. They're like this flow chart's pretty simple. So if you increase this, it increases the chance that someone could get cancer. No, we're not doing this, okay? So in November 1994, the national television program, The Fifth Estate, aired a documentary on RBGH that included allegations of an attempted bribe. So Monsanto was at it again. They actually tried to bribe Health Canada. Yeah. So in December, the European Union announced a moratorium until the year 2000. So this actually was a 10-year process, this whole banning and saying, no, they're not bringing it in here. But as in the middle of all that, this company, Monsanto, was still actively trying to bribe people and get their product out there because, again, they want, it's about money, guys. Like, when you really break it down, that's what it's about. Everything is about money and profits. The more you can make of something, the more profit you make, but people are not taking into consideration, especially those people are not taking into consideration that, you know what, this is affecting people more. I also sometimes wonder, are you guys drinking that same milk? Are you partaking in the same things that you're pushing out there for us to consume? It's a good question to ask. So the last thing I'm going to talk about, because we're not going to go into, I don't think we're going to have time to talk about how emotion works. I wanted to talk about short-term memory and long-term memory, how things actually get processed, and why when you show emotionally driven news, which is what they throw at us, it causes us to actually react a certain way. So I have a clip here. It's called "If It Bleeds, It Leads." And it basically talks about the fact that emotion is used to drive the public.
Not. If it bleeds, it leads. This cynical saying, often regarding mainstream news, implies that violent or catastrophic reports are peddled as top stories.
Rising water, and the two planes collide.
Horrific or dramatic events alone create strong emotional responses. Add to that sweeping statements that stir public fear.
The police can't stop it.
Reports of war, nuclear threats, natural disasters, scandals, and murders often filled the daily news for reasons other than to inform. Preying upon fears viewers have concerning death and destruction is so frequently practiced by major news that most viewers are desensitized to the actual intent of the reports themselves.
Good evening.
There are new and dire predictions tonight about the future of our planet. Around the world, glaciers are in full retreat. Some, like the ancient ice cap on Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, could be gone in a decade or two. It's a dramatic symptom of the warming of the Earth, detailed in a new 1,000-page United Nations report, Climate Change 2001. It predicts the new century will bring, and I quote, large-scale and possibly irreversible changes affecting every last person on Earth.
Today's population has already set off an environmental spiral, depleting the world's forests and contributing to overfishing and overgrazing. Soil is being eroded, which in turn is hurting crop production, leading to starvation.
This is punishment, say scientists, for sins of the past.
So a lot of that is, I'm sure, what you're used to seeing. And I'm going to now, you know what's interesting is, I'm going to have enough time to talk about this right now. Jordan just brought up a very interesting fact. The fact is that he said, Simone, I don't understand. What's the purpose of showing all of this violence? And you know what? This is something that, again, we're going to go into. I like when this type of stuff comes out, but I'm going to give a very quick explanation of this. And again, if you have questions, comment, please share this out. Maybe someone can answer this for you. But my next picture, or my next quote, or a little breakdown of this is, creating a crisis is important for a few things, okay? The first thing is that when people are in crisis, they do not think rationally. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to understand. The second thing is that this leads to panic and makes people think that they have to do something. They have to react. Like when you're emotional, you react. This, of course, leaves people very vulnerable and more open to stringent controls. This is when throwing in any type of sale thing after that. Oh, you know what? People buy all these like storm guards and all these these shelters, bomb shelters, and they'll stock up on water. Remember, we're all stocking up on water. So, guys, there's more behind this. Hopefully next week you can dig in some more. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for viewing. Share this show out. It is so important. Any questions, please ask. Have a wonderful day. Have a great Friday and enjoy your New Year's. Happy New Year's, everybody.